we are taking my first flight lesson. I get to make an airplane fly.
Yeah? You excited or nervous?
I'm both. I'm mostly excited. I'm a little bit nervous just because like this is my first time and I'm not sure what to expect, but I'm excited.
What are you most excited about?
I think the idea of making a plane like actually fly is what I'm looking forward to.
Cool.
Look center, look right, and I like to look behind. We're making sure that there's nobody coming up behind us, and there's nobody coming at us. You're gonna look out the window and you're gonna yell as loud as you want. Clear prop.
Clear prop? Wait, what?
Yep, as loud as you want.
Okay,
make sure everyone knows that we're about to start.
Clear prop!
Perfect. Alright. And now we've got beacon on, master on. So our beacon is on. You can turn your master switch on.
This one?
Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to stick your key in for you because there's a couple different positions. Right now we're in off. This is our right mag, left mag, both. From both, if we turn to the right, it's going to go to start and the prop will start moving. That's going to engage the starter for us. When it starts, we're going to maybe push forward just a little bit on the throttle because you're going to hear it catch. When we let go of the key, it'll default back to that both position. And we're then going to adjust the throttle to 1,000. So the number that we see here is directly linked to this lever.
This one?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's going to come to life as soon as we start, and I'm going to have you start the engine.
Do I just twist it to start?
Yep, so you're going to turn it to the right, one hand on your power.
And then do I adjust it anything or just...
You'll probably need to add just a little bit, and as soon as you're going to know when it starts, you're going to feel it. And as soon as it started, you're going to let go of the key. I'll tell you when to let go. How about that? I'll just say let go.
Yeah.
And then you're going to start focusing on your power to pull it back probably to 1,000, which is that 10 on the RPM page.
Get it to the 10?
Mm-hmm.
So I pull back or forward? Sorry, I'm just making sure.
No, you're fine. It's going to depend. It'll probably be a little bit high when we start, so we're probably going to want to pull it back to reduce power.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So I go to the 10 and I just flip it.
Alright, let's go ahead and turn to start. right,
Hold.
cool. I've got my noise canceling on as well. Alrighty, so real quick, as everything turns on, it's not a part of the checklist, but we'll go through. You can hit continue there. It's a touchscreen.
Hit where? This?
Continue. And the airplane was topped off, so we're going to hit fuel on board. And full.
Full?
Yep. Enter. And continue. One more time. Alrighty. I'm going to put us on the map page here and zoom way in so that we have a little taxiway diagram of the airport. And that's our GPS pretty much set for today. We've got our ATIS and AWAS that we're going to grab, so I'm going to listen to the weather here real quick, and we're going to set some instruments for it. You don't have to worry about writing anything down or remembering anything. I'm going to do your talking today. 12135, that's our weather frequency, so we're going to listen to it.
Ohio State Tower ATIS information, hotel time 1353 Zulu weather, wind 230 visibility 10, the sky is clear below 12,000. Temperature 28, dew point 19, altimeter 2997. Expect the visual or the RNAV GPS approach, landing in departing runways 27 left and 27 right. VFR departures provide ground control with your on-course heading in degrees. Advise on initial contact, you have information hotel.
Information hotel, so that weather that we looked at upstairs on the computer, that's just them reading it off to us.
State ground, good morning, Diamond 821 Tango, East T hangar, short of Delta,
So the
departing
information
VFR 270,
allows us
heading
to
with
tell them
hotel.
that we have the most current weather, because it'll come out every hour. Winds 230 so they picked up by 1 knot. Skies clears, temperature 23, 2.18, or 28, 19, 29 or 9 or 7 for the altimeter. So 2997 for the altimeter, right about there, gives us about field elevation of 906 feet. So what we're seeing here, it's like reading a clock, where this might be not quite 9 o'clock. I guess that'd be like, I can't think of how an analog clock works right now. But your big arrow tells you the altitude that you're at in hundreds of feet, and this will tell you your tens. So in this case, we are at 900 feet. As it comes up, you're going to see the big arrow come over to the 0. Little arrow's on the 1. That's going to tell us that we're at 1,000 feet, and then our big arrow will become our 100-foot marker. So 1,000, 1,100, 200, 300, etc. as it goes up. That'll make a little bit more sense in the air. All right, altimeter is set. We've got our transponder, Alton Squawk transponder here, set to 1200, 737 Lima Golf. That's our tail. Matches our tail number up here. Our ADSB verified is on. That's our tail number. Altimeter is set, and radio test. So this is our radio button here. Right now we're listening to 1217. If we want to talk to tower or anybody, we have to depress this button. All we're going to do right now is tap it for a second, and we're looking to see a TX up here. So go ahead, tap yours. As long as we get the TX, we know that we're transmitting, so they can hopefully pick us up. Taxi light as required. It's daytime, so we don't need it. Brakes we're going to test. So I'm going to test mine first, and then I'm going to have you test yours.
Brakes are the top, right?
Yep, so the 2 top pedals, those are the brakes. The bottom half with our heels on the floor, that's just the rudder. So I'm going to add a little bit of power. We're still clear. Taxi forward, and I'm just going to tap my brakes. Make sure we can stop. I'm going to have you do the same thing. We're going to taxi forward. Go ahead and tap both at the same time. Perfect. And now, I'm going to have you practice a little bit before we go right out on the taxiway.
Okay.
When we turn in this airplane, it's going to be a combination of steering and differential brake. So our rudder is directly linked to our nose gear. So if we want to turn left, for example, I'll show you here. We're going to add a little bit of power. We're going to add a little bit of left brake, but we're also pushing on that left rudder pedal. To straighten out, all we're going to do is bring our feet back to neutral. And again, using that little bit of brake if we need it. And we're going to try to stay on this yellow line here. So if you can reach them pretty well, I'm going to have you taxi us straight ahead. We're going to follow this yellow line kind of down and around this row of airplanes.
Okay, so down and this way? Down.
So
okay.
down and to the right, so past the big blue hangar.
Okay.
So you're always going to be doing a little bit of something with your feet to try and keep that yellow line there. At least as close to it as you can manage. And you'll probably feel me just kind of ghosting along too to feel what you're doing. I'll be adjusting your power just a little bit at a time.
Wait, so it's okay.
Very good. And so the faster you get, you know, the more abrupt your motions are probably going to be. But as long as you're taxiing nice and slow, For example, right now we're only doing 5 knots across the ground. It's going to be much easier to control. So as we're coming up here, the line kind of disappears, but we're going to turn around this airplane here. So we're going to add a little bit of right brake with some right rudder. So we're going to push and press. Then we're going to kind of straighten out here. And we're going to go up this row. So again, right rudder with some right brake to turn us to the right. And there should be a yellow line up here. Not the T's, but there should be another solid yellow. So we're going to go over to the left just a little bit more to try and get onto a row over there that we can follow up towards the taxi line. So a little bit of left brake in that case with some left rudder. You'll see it once we get over there and onto it. A little bit more brake to turn a little bit sharper. There we go. Some nice exhaust off the King Air. So this kind of faded yellow line, that's what we're looking to follow now.
Okay.
So as soon as we're on top of it, again, you're going to start to, what do we got right now? Come back to neutral, maybe even a little bit of right brake. Good. Just straighten out here. Taxi up on this yellow line. Very good. As we come up to the taxiway itself here, you're going to see a big dashed black and yellow line. We're going to make sure that we come to a stop before crossing that. So if you see it coming into view there, let's go ahead and start to apply some brake together. And we're going to come to a complete stop. Perfect. If you look off to our right here, you can see the tower. If we can see them, they can see us, and I'm going to go ahead and make our call for taxi. We're going to be departing 360 today, which will be up to the north. So if you're familiar with the area at all, I guess it doesn't really matter. A lot of our roads are typically lined up with east, west, north, south. So we're going to end up following a road to the north here. So I'm going to give them a call, request a 360 with hotel, and we'll get taxiing from there. Take ground, good morning, Skyhawk 737 Lima Golf on the main ramp, information hotel, ready taxi 360 departure. That's our run-up complete, and now we move on to our pre-takeoff checklist. Briefing, like we said, we should be taking off in about, we'll call it 1,000 feet today of the 5,000 that we have available, and landing in about 500, assuming no 50-foot obstacle. 3 of us on board today in the event of emergency. Like we said, Gabe will get out, or Dad will get out first, followed by us. So we'll just lift up on the levers in the seats, lift up on the silver latch, push out, and exit the aircraft. In the event of an emergency, I will be pilot in command. And I'll take the controls, and I'll just ask you to help me out as I need it.
442 Golf Juliet, like to pick up our FR to Tango Tango
November. Straight ahead, applying full brake. If the engine should fail below
442 Golf Juliet, state your clearance on request, don't see one of those yet.
About 1900 MSL, we're going to land straight ahead, assuming we have distance available. Otherwise, we're going to pick a field out in the distance. Above 1,000 feet, again 2,000 feet MSL approximately, we're going to attempt to return to the airport, again under my control, and use whatever surface is available to land, whether that be a runway taxiway or a grass strip. Okay, briefing complete. One other part, you've flown with your dad before, but if at any time today you start to feel kind of uncomfortable in the airplane or kind of icky, I do carry bags with me, so just let me know.
Awesome.
It's nothing to be embarrassed about, but we will do our best to get you back on the ground as soon as we. So briefing good. Flaps set 0 to 10. We're going to keep them up at 0. Mixture set best power. You already twisted it in for us. Carb heat verified is off. Transponder out and we're squawking 1200.
Maintain
3000. We don't have it in this airplane. Doors and windows verify for me that your lever is down. Windows will close here in just a second. Actually, it's up to you. We can fly with the windows open. It's just a little bit noisier, but it's hot today, so we might do that.
I'm good with whatever.
Alrighty. Strobes as required. Go ahead, flip those on for us. That's our anti-collision light system. And then our landing light just makes us more visible after takeoff. Time note. Noted. Brakes release. We're going to release after we contact tower. And when we contact tower, you can go ahead and toss that in your side pocket now, because from here on out, it's just flying. When I contact tower, I'm going to let them know that we are ready for departure, as long as you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Perfect. When he gives us the clearance, we're going to taxi up and onto the runway and line up on our center line. On center line, we're going to drop our heels to the floor, and we're just going to use the rudder to steer.
Okay.
Again, you're probably going to feel me kind of ghosting along with you to make sure that we stay on that center line as we accelerate.
Okay.
I'm going to let you control the power for takeoff. So we're going to be pushing all the way to full power. So if you want to think of it in your head as a 1, 2, 3, once we're on the center line and I tell you to go ahead and apply full power, we're going to think 1, 2, and on 3, I want you all the way up at full power. We're then going to keep it there for takeoff. We're going to hold on to our yoke, so if you want to use both hands after you add that power in, that's fine. I'll kind of keep my hand here in case I need to adjust the power. And we're going to be looking for 55 on the airspeed. So again, I'm going to have you mostly looking outside. So when I want you to rotate, I'm going to go ahead and tell you to start pulling back or bringing your nose up. And we're going to apply just a little bit of back pressure to try and get the airplane off the ground. If we just keep pulling back, the airplane's going to keep coming up. So if we establish one pitch angle, which is just setting your pitch at one spot, the airplane will fly at that angle. Again, you'll feel me ghosting, so nothing to be worried about.
Okay.
And should be good to go. Any questions for me?
Not that I know.
All right, perfect. In that case, all set. Perfect. State Tower, Skyhawk 737 Golf, short 27 left on Alpha, ready for departure.
737 Lima Golf, State Tower, runway 27 left, clear for takeoff, turn right on course.
27 left, clear for takeoff, turn right on course, 737 Lima Golf. All right, so we got our clearance. You can go ahead and release your brakes. We'll add a little bit of power here. You can keep holding on to your yoke.
Okay.
Yep, it's completely independent. Using just a little bit of power to get us moving here. Those big red boxes are kind of like your fail-safe, telling you that if you miss the sign, hey, you know, stupid, you're getting close to a runway. Don't taxi on it without clearance. But we have our clearance, so.
Awesome.
We're the smart guys.
Mm.
We are cleared on the approach. No airplanes coming at us. We are cleared on the runway. And we're looking for our center line. So there's lots of big lines up here. Center is going to be right about here. So lined up with our big 27L on the ground there. So you can go ahead and drop your heels to the floor. We're just going to use the rudder pedals.
Okay.
And one hand on the power. Dropping heels to the floor, no more brakes. We're going to count to 3, and on 3, I want you at full power. So whenever you're ready.
1, 2, 3?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, did you want me to? You can count to
okay,
yourself.
so it's just 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Yep, just to keep it nice and smooth. That's the only reason why we count to 3.
Okay.
All right. All right, perfect. RPM is full static, engine gauges look good, airspeed's coming alive. Here comes 55. Go ahead, start to pull back.
What?
Start to pull back some. Now we're off the ground. That'll probably make it easier to hear. So now we're watching our speed as we're climbing out. And if we start to get too slow, we're going to push our nose forward. And what I want you to do is kind of sit up as tall as you can. We're going to try to find something out in the distance to look for, and we're going to fly towards it. Sorry, I hope that doesn't make me super loud, but that should help some.
Yeah.
I've got a pretty good amount of right rudder in here, and that's just to help to keep our nose straight. So if I let that out, the nose might want to pull off to the left a little bit if you can feel it. So we want to keep that right rudder in there to help keep the airplane flying nice and straight. As we're climbing here, we are at 1,200 feet now. We're going to keep climbing up to 1,400, and that's done by adjusting that pitch. At 14, we're going to start a right-hand turn to north, or 360. And to do that, we're going to lead with some right aileron. So we're going to go ahead, turn to the right, and we're going to add a little bit of extra right rudder, and we're going to pull back just a little bit as we climb. Make sure we don't descend. With our ailerons back at neutral, we should see that the bank angle stops there. Otherwise, the airplane continues to bank in one direction or the other. On north here, if you see all those water towers out there,
yeah,
I want you to fly me towards those.
Okay. I'm still going.
Yep. So nose is coming up a little bit high there, so we're going to push forward just a bit. Not quite to the horizon or anything, because we still want to be climbing, but we're just adjusting our pitch angle. If you start to see that the airplane's tilted in one direction or the other, that'll relate directly to your ailerons. So you can turn left, you can turn right to help you kind of roll the airplane back into a more desirable pitch attitude, or a bank attitude. Very good. We're passing through 2,000 feet now. We're gonna keep going up. We'll go up to, let's shoot for 4. It'll probably be cooler up there. And we're not gonna change our heading until we're outside of the airspace, this blue ring here. Because OSU told us to depart 360, that's what we're gonna do. As we're climbing, we start to kind of lose track of the ground, but when we look outside, you'll start to see that one wing dips more towards the ground than the other, or maybe that a cloud starts to move in one direction or the other. And so that's our indication that we're drifting in one direction.
Okay.
And so that's where our ailerons come back in, so that we can adjust just like you're doing. If you see yourself turning to the right and you want to come back to the left, you don't have to turn all the way back to the left, but you're helping to level the airplane back out again.
Okay.
There's 2,500 feet there. We're going to continue climbing to 4,000. And remembering that we have our feet here, I'm going to go ahead and ghost along with you here. If we want to set a constant pitch attitude, for example, we want to climb straight ahead, all we're going to do is hold the ailerons in that spot, and what we're really doing is feeling for those little upsets of the airplane. So constantly doing something. It feels kind of silly to be making such little corrections, and it feels like it's doing nothing, but that's what helps to keep us nice and straight.
Okay.
If you see me playing with this, I'm just adjusting your trim to make it a little bit easier for you.
Oh, thanks.
Here's 3,000 feet. We've got 1,000 feet to go. It's starting to feel better. A little cooler.
Yeah.
We should be passing over the zoo down there off to your side here shortly. One of the more interesting things that we have to look at out here, because there's not too much.
That's cool.
We're just outside the airspace, so I'm going to put us on a different frequency so we can listen to the other school birds that might be out here. Passing through 3,200 feet now, and again we're climbing up to 4. Heading looks really good, and you're feeling a lot more stable now.
Yeah.
What you're feeling in those little upsets could be the thermals rising off the ground as the day, heats up the earth. And those will start to increase and become greater in intensity as the day goes on. So again, you guys picked a pretty nice time to come out here.
Awesome.
Once we get up to 4,000 feet, you've still got a couple hundred feet to go.
Okay.
We're going to be pushing the nose to level. So like I said, on the ground with, smacking it around and stuff, don't worry, you're not going to hurt the airplane. You can jerk it left and right, this and that. You're not going to hurt it. So we're going to push the nose to what we think is level so that we can see the horizon outside. And you've got your attitude indicator as a reference if you want to use it to see if we can't put the nose totally level and stop our climb.
Okay.
Now that we're outside of the airspace here, if you want to turn in one direction or another, you are more than welcome. You have the controls, you're pilot in command right now.
Okay.
So go wherever you want. I'll tell you if you're going somewhere that you can't, though.
So what am I doing? So
you can turn anywhere. You're flying the airplane. We're just having fun.
Oh, okay. So I just turn it left and right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So if we think about our feet, if we want to turn to the right, we're going to add a little bit of right rudder to put the nose in that direction, help us with that turn.
And so, should I try that? Is that?
Yeah. So I'll let go of the rudders.
Okay, so I go like that, and then
Yep, and that helps to drag the nose off in that direction.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
All right, we're coming up on our 4,000 here. So when you see that 0, you're going to push the nose forward. Try to bring the horizon outside back into view.
Okay.
And then we're going to pull this power back some. So you see that green bar on your RPM gauge?
Yeah.
Go ahead and pull your power back to the bottom of that green bar.
The bottom of the green bar?
Yep. So it should be about 2,200.
Okay.
There we go. So what we did
good?
there, yep, that's perfect. We just reduced some power
By taking that power away, the airplane shouldn't want to climb quite as much, and it should be easier to hold it level. So if you can see, our VSI here is showing more of a descent now, so we're able to better control our altitude.
All right, let me think here. Let me organize my brain.
If you want to turn left, we'll head, see this road down here, how it goes pretty much straight west?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can't line ourselves up with that. So again, we're leading with just a little bit of left rudder, just a tiny bit, because the nose already wants to pull left on its own.
Okay.
And we can see the airplanes coming around. Good.
This road right here? Or?
Yeah, just to parallel it. You don't have to get over top it or anything, but just to kind of keep this direction here.
Okay.
Good.
Roger.
As we turn, the nose wants to come down because we're losing what's called our vertical component of lift and gaining horizontal. That's what helps with that turn. So as we bring our nose out of a turn, if you heard, you got faster going through it, and you got slower coming out of it. The nose wants to dive sometimes when we turn.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that sometimes.
Yeah. So again, there's some of those little bumps and things that we're going to get that just kind of disrupt the airplane. So now we have a nose high attitude. And if you wanted to bring it back down, two things that we can do. We can reduce power, or we can just push the nose over.
Okay.
One thing, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just, no, go ahead, what were you going to say?
One thing that I really like to show students or new members or anybody is that the airplane's not going to fall out of the sky when you lose power. So here, this is a training aircraft. We're never going to shut down the engine in flight, but go ahead, keep both hands on the control. And I'm going to pull your power all the way back to idle, so the same check that we did on the ground. And the airplane, with its big rectangular wings, it'll glide. You know, the nose wants to come down. It's basically seeking out the relative wind. That CG up front is pulling our nose down.
Okay.
But we can still control it. So go ahead, bring your nose up some. See if you can't roll the wings back to level. And we don't want to climb, but we'll hold about level with the horizon. Good. So even though we're not producing much power, we're still flying. We're not just going to dive into the ground or anything, and that's a really common misconception, I think, for folks who haven't flown around too much.
Yeah.
The Skyhawks have a pretty good glide ratio. So if you bring your nose up, another trick I can show you.
Ooh.
If we stop pulling back and bring our trim all the way up, the airplane should trim out at about 65 knots.
Okay.
65 is going to be our best glide speed. So you can see your speed comes down without the power, without our pitch down, speed comes up. And so now, it's really our responsibility here to make sure that we don't get too far below that 65. So if we do, we just start to push forward. And lots of little corrections as we get slower with our feet to make sure we're keeping nice and level, nice and straight. And we've already lost 700 feet, but you'd hardly know it because we come down so nice and slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So then to recover from that, I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of power back in, start to get some of this trim out because I gave you a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to about cruise power, which was again at the bottom of that green arc there.
Okay.
And so now we're flying again. So that's a demonstration that we'll do with our students to make sure they know what to do in the event of an engine failure. Awesome. And to show you that the airplane will glide down to the ground. So whether that's to an airport, you know, we've got Delaware out there. If you see the runway way out in the distance, that's Marysville. Probably wouldn't make it to there from here. But there's a chance we can at least make it to a road or a field or something.
Cool.
And still be fine. So how about we do a right-hand turn back to the east. So a 180, we're going to go directly behind us.
So we're going this way?
Let's try a right-hand turn.
Okay.
Usually it's more comfortable to turn to the left because that's your side of the airplane.
Okay.
And so when you turn to the right, you might find that you lose more altitude than you do when you turn left.
So we're just trying to go straight back this way?
Yep.
Okay, so I just...
Your attitude indicator is going to give you different levels of bank, different degrees.
Okay.
So we have 10, 20, 30, 60, and 90. If you feel as we're turning, the nose has come down, we're getting much faster.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, pull back in that turn to bring your nose up. Try to level yourself with the horizon.
Ooh.
Yourselves nice and level in that turn. So we're following this windy portion of the river. down towards, there's a couple of big buildings there.
Yeah.
315 and 270. All right, as you roll out of that turn, don't be afraid to push that nose forward so that you can keep the ground in sight out there. Very nice. And we want to put ourselves right over top of that intersection. Perfect. Once we're over top of that intersection, I'm going to give Tower another call to let them know that we went to the position they want us to report at. And we'll probably get our landing clearance from there.
Okay. Sounds good.
Alrighty, altitude's looking good. Again, we just want to stay below 2,500 because of this purple shelf here. You know, obviously there's nothing that we can see out there to tell us where their airspace starts, but it does start at a particular altitude. So we're under Columbus's Charlie shelf right about now. State Tower, Skyhawk 737 on the Golf, just over 315 and the belt.
7 Lima Golf Tower, runway 27 left, cleared to land, wind 2708.
27 left, clear to land, 737 Golf. Alrighty, go ahead, pull your carb heat out for me.
What?
The carb heat, you can pull it out. Alright, and we are below 110 on the airspeed. Go ahead, drop this down to that 10-degree mark. Perfect. As they come down, the nose will want to come up, so we're going to have to give it a pretty good amount of nose down. And I'm going to adjust just a little bit of power. So we're starting our initial descent down towards the ground. We're landing on 27 left, which is that same runway that we took off of, the one on the south side of the airport. If we can't get ourselves slowed down to about 85 knots, and I'm going to have you give me 20 degrees of flaps. So go ahead, drop us down to that 20. Perfect. Now we're flying along here. We're going to be looking at that south runway, controlling our descent, and planning on when we want to turn final. We're far enough out that we can probably start to lead that turn. So we're going to start that nice slow turn to the right, trying to line up on that center line. Come back closer to 1500 there. And turn just a little bit early here, so we're going to allow the airplane to work its way around and onto that center line before we continue rolling into it. Speed's coming down, we're looking much better here. Our 4 white lights there on the edge of the runway, those are telling us that we're a little bit high if we were planning on landing by those 2 big white bars, the 1,000-footers. Let's go ahead, drop 30 degrees of flaps. Nice. And as we add those flaps, they're going to help to increase drag so that we can increase our pitch. That increase in pitch with the flaps will not result in an increase in speed. This is what we'd refer to as short final, so let's push that carb heat back in.
This? Yep. All the way?
Mm-hmm. That way we have a little extra power in the event that we have to do a go-around. And you can feel now that the airplane wants to come down to the ground. We're controlling it on the way down, but, you know, it's coming down on its own.
Yeah.
As we get closer to the ground, we're going to start thinking about some power because we don't want to land with it. So we're going to start working out just a little bit at a time until it's all the way back at 0, and we're going to hold the nose up nice and high above the ground, making sure that our mains touch down first. Come on. There it was. When it's hot out, they don't like to land. You can go ahead and bring this flap switch all the way back up.
All the way up?
Yep.
Parking, monitor ground point 7.
Charlie Alpha to parking on the main ramp, monitor ground point 7, 737 Lima Golf, thanks. And then if you're hot, you can open up your window. I'll help get you off the runway here, but then you're going to taxi us back.
Okay.
Turn our landing light off, and we'll turn our strobes off once we're clear.
Pilot 2, clear for takeoff.
So these
runway
red
27
boxes
left
again,
on the right traffic,
telling us
runway
that you need to
27
stop
right,
and contact
report
tower.
Oh my god. Okay. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a lot easier than I expected it to be. I was expecting it to be a lot more like stressful and like I have to push this now or else something bad's gonna happen or something like that. But it wasn't as bad as I thought, and it was cool. It was a different experience, something I probably wouldn't normally do on a day-to-day basis. But it was really cool and I really enjoyed it.
How'd she do?
Excellent. You know, every movement that she made was deliberate. You did have some questions about what controls could be manipulated, but like I said, the airplanes can take a beating, so you don't have to worry about being too shy with them. I think we had a great time. You know, she's definitely got the bug now, at least I hope so, and hopefully we'll see you out here again.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.